Welcome, friends, relatives, and the visionaries of an energy justice future where all of us are liberated and live in harmony with each other. My name is Crystal Huang, and I use any pronouns. I am located currently on the unceded territory of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people in the so-called Berkeley, California. I have the honor to be here to welcome you as the National Coordinator for the Energy Democracy Project. For those who don't know, the Energy Democracy Project is a collaboration of close to 40 diverse, mostly local frontline organizations all over United States, from Alaska to Puerto Rico, to strengthen their collectivity to democratize energy and advance energy justice in our community all across the country. And the project serves as a collective resource to advance all of our work. We build shared strategy, shared tactics, and share resources. And I want to do a quick shout out to the people that I can see real quick on the screen. See Ruth, see Al from Local Clean Energy Alliance, see Mitty from People Solar Energy Fund, Jonathan from Cleveland Owns. We have Adam from New York Energy Democracy. We got Russell from Power Interfaith, Gail from Rehab Network. I'm just quickly doing a browse of our participation here. Colette here, hello, Taproot. Great, and I see Mishka from Emerald Cities Collaborative. The list is long. Welcome, y'all. Just wanted to acknowledge the fact that all of this is a huge collaboration, and really excited to see so many of y'all here. And I'll pass it over to Selena real quick to introduce herself.
Thanks, Crystal. Hi, everyone, and welcome. It's so great to see you. My name is Selena. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the National Campaign Coordinator for the Energy Democracy Project and for the REFOCUS campaign. It's so wonderful to have about 80 of you here on Zoom. Thanks, Adam, for highlighting that. I'm located on the unceded lands of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people in West Oakland, California. And I'm really jazzed to get this launched. As Crystal mentioned, it's been the culmination of efforts over many years, and we're really excited to stand in solidarity with activists from Alaska to Puerto Rico. Today, we are supported by Ernesto Cruz, who's going to be our tech support for today. We also have Nefertiti Altan and Silvia Escarcega with live Spanish interpretation. And we have Nora El Marzuki also supporting with tech and chat support. And today brings together such a diverse audience. We have folks who are attending on behalf of their organizations. We have interested individuals who might have heard about us on Twitter or in other events. And then we have friends who've been longtime allies of our energy democracy work. And I'm so excited today to get all of us aligned in our justice aligned work and really figure out how we can help push forward and refocus our energy system together. Welcome to all. I'll pass it. Actually, I'm going to continue with the story. Ernesto, can you go ahead and pop up on the screen the next slide? All right. So this is a picture from Puerto Rico. And I thought it'd be important today to start off with a story because the REFOCUS campaign is all about stories. And for decades, a collective of Puerto Rican activists have been organizing towards a shared goal of distributed renewable energy for their community. Their vision is a bottom-up transformation of the island. It looks like a decentralized renewable energy model as the pathway to energy justice and key to successfully providing safe, affordable, and reliable energy for the people of Puerto Rico. Yes, but the status quo power holders, namely foreign-owned Luma Energy and allies in the Puerto Rico Electric Power Authority, also known as PREPA, are bulldozing the people's demands for a justice-aligned energy model. With Hurricane Fiona's impact on Puerto Rico last month and 100% of the island impacted by extended blackouts, some of which continue, it is clear that the outdated grid operated by this corporation and propped up by PREPA is unsafe and unsustainable for Boricuas, for Puerto Ricans. So now, activists are turning to organizations in the US for support as they ramp up their efforts in what's shaping up to be a pivotal year and period for the future of the island and archipelago. The Energy Democracy Project's Reimagined Energy for Our Communities US REFOCUS campaign amplifies the need for a truly resilient, community-based, and decentralized energy model. And all of your involvement will help pull back the curtain on the ongoing colonialism that blocks the development of local, community-controlled, and decentralized clean energy. Let's move over to the next slide.
So we're here, most of us are here, really, because we've been working to advance the development of local, community control, and decentralized clean energy. Some of us are probably new to it, but really like this idea of local, clean energy. Why is it not happening already? Over the years, the close to 40 collaborators of the Energy Democracy Project have engaged with each other in learning about each other, the barriers to energy democracy, and we've identified a common theme that's really stopping this progress. It is way more than just the thirst for fossil fuel by the big companies. It is an ongoing colonialism that is happening in all of our communities. And today we're hoping to share with you what that looks like. And first, let's just ground on the fact that energy impacts all of us. Energy is not just the way we turn on our lights. Energy is not just a thing to charge our phones and our laptop. The food we eat, the clothes we wear, the houses that we get warmth and safety from, how we move around, how we keep food safe, how we keep ourselves safe. Energy is everything that we need to survive and to thrive. But the energy system today which include, I want to name, energy development, generation, control, ownership, and decision-making, all of that really sits within Wall Street and corporate electric utilities. All of that negatively impacts the health and safety of our communities, as you can see on the graph today in front of you. The status quo also fails to provide the energy needed to live, especially in the face of climate disaster like hurricanes in the Gulf South or wildfires in the West. So the current energy paradigm benefits Wall Street and corporate electric utility companies, or even just a small number of people who are trying to benefit from our communities, while leaving communities of people in the dust of their pollution and extractive practices. So these companies decide which energy sources to invest in, and they also develop control and own all of that infrastructure. Meanwhile, our communities have absolutely no choice of our energy sources and no say in how it's being used, how we design it, how we're being served, and how we can actually do what we need to do to thrive. The status quo is unjust, environmentally, racially, economically, and socially. So what do we need to see in the future? What we have a movement that is growing right now. From Alaska to Puerto Rico, you can see all these dots connecting on this map you're seeing in front of us. Communities being impacted first and worst by energy injustice and climate change are advancing reimagined energy systems for our communities. These alternatives are redistributing wealth, economic, political, and electoral power by ensuring communities can meet their needs and themselves. I hope now it's pretty clear that this is more than just electricity. We're talking about power. We're moving the decision-making power from corporate boardroom to our communities, including our workers. And we call this energy democracy. Energy democracy, in summary, is a process by which we advance frontline community empowerment and liberation. It is a framework that allows us to reimagine the way we organize our lives and livelihood towards a new system that supports the health and well-being of our communities and ecosystem. How does that future seem to you? Where we can actually determine our livelihood and the way to thrive, being in balance with nature. Pretty good, right? I see the hearts and thumbs up. Thank you. And that's what we're here to do. Now, let's get into a little breakout group and try to figure out how we can get there. So, little breakout group here. Let's warm up with a little activity. So we want to get you to interact with each other, get to know each other just a little more. Hopefully you'll make some new friends, learn more about each other, an old friend. In the breakout group of just 2 people, please share your name, pronouns, location, and the answer to the question, what does top-down control look like in your community? Any type of top-down control. Welcome back.
Welcome back, everyone. Again, like Crystal just shared, thanks again for your patience as we work through some of these tech issues. We hope that the conversations that you had were enjoyable and gave you the chance to connect with some new people from across the country. And like I shared before, this is an incredibly diverse group, and our movement is really as strong as the people who are part of it. As we mentioned before, REFOCUS is a unified movement for energy justice that brings together communities leading local actions for energy democracy all across the country. We are reimagining energy for our communities across Turtle Island, across the US. And here we have folks pictured in California, in Alaska, in Mississippi, Minnesota, New Mexico, and Puerto Rico. And somewhere on this map, your community is also involved in the struggle and opportunities for energy democracy. And that's what REFOCUS is all about. Let's head on over to the next slide. Thank you for those of you who are sharing what you learned in the chat. It's really beautiful to hear that this has already been a generative space for you. Now we're going to start to talk about why we're here. As we mentioned, we are launching REFOCUS with you all, and we're energized to take action together. And what we really want to underscore for you today is that we're asking you to take 3 key actions. Let's go on over to the next slide, please. These actions are 1, to show up. You're already halfway there by being here. 2, share. And 3, amplify. Our goal is to successfully communicate these 3 actions so that you can leave our time together here today, understanding these calls, how easy they are to take on, and be ready to hit the ground running for energy democracy in your community. Let's go over to the next slide, please. Pass it over to Crystal.
Great. So now we're talking about agenda. How are we going to spend our time together? We've already shared a welcome and introductions, background on energy democracy, and why we're here. So what we're going to be doing next is some really fun and exciting things. We've got some powerful organizers on the ground coming to share their stories, and then we'll walk you through the path ahead, how we can be more coordinated with each other and show up in solidarity, share our story, build power through our stories, and then amplify it all together. So again, these 3 actions are central to REFOCUS. Show up, share, amplify. And what's more importantly to all is our connection to energy and to each other.
So, as I've mentioned before on this call, storytelling is central to the REFOCUS campaign. And we engage with stories on the daily. We see them in movies, radio, television, gossip, sharing with your loved ones how your day went. And stories help us to build relationships, they help us name problems, and they help us mobilize people. Ultimately, they build movements. So when we hear the names Rosa Parks, or we hear Standing Rock, we already have the narratives in our minds that help us understand what happened, how it happened, and what's possible. Whether we like it or not, stories shape our perception of the world around us. So in REFOCUS, we're highlighting the stories of energy democracy activists from Alaska to Puerto Rico. And we're also inviting you to reflect on your own stories and relationships with energy. So today we have a special treat for you, and we've got some energy democracy collaborators in the room with us here to share their insight on people power. And we'll kick it off with a video.
Energy for, by, and with the people. You know, it's people in communities, especially organized communities and the public sector, providing that essential human service, making it available, accessible, and cutting out the for-profit part of energy generation.
Energy democracy is about understanding the energy system and weighing in to make it into the system we need to serve our communities.
No more corporate, thumb on our world. We're trying to do the exact opposite, right? Creating people power, people generating power.
Energy democracy to me means building sustainable communities for constituents to have renewable energy and renewable resources.
All right. We hope you liked that little snippet of the video that we shared for you. Shout out to Climate Nexus, our partner who helped develop some of our digital materials for the REFOCUS campaign. And we're going to travel over to the Bay Area. We have Jessica Tovar here with us today. And Jessica is an organizer with the local Clean Energy Alliance, a membership organization promoting a clean energy future through the development and democratization of local renewable energy resources. Welcome, Jessica. Maybe we can turn off the screen share and make sure that Jessica's face can be seen. Hi, Jessica. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. So I've got a couple questions for you. We've got a few minutes. The first question is, I'd love for you to share what you spoke about in your breakout group. What does top-down control look like in your community?
Well, what we talked about, myself and Wanda, was really about, the corporate system, really running our energy system and adding to that, running it to the ground in the name of profit, and really running amok on our communities and leaving us, our communities that are already vulnerable, even more vulnerable to the impacts of the climate crisis. So really highlighting that top-down energy structure really is what we want to kind of flip on its head and really put, the people who have been disinvested for so long at the top and centering our voice in really the solution to that problem.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jessica, for sharing. Oh, when you think about the future, what does a people-powered solution look like in the Bay Area?
Mm-hmm. So a people-powered solution would look like, building local clean energy in our communities, and specifically coming from the people who have been heavily impacted either by, disinvestment or heavy investment in the dirty energy economy. So being able to be at the center of the decision-making and the ownership of, clean energy resources in our communities. And specifically for the affordability, right? Because our bills always go up, they never go down. But also because we need to build more energy resilience, right? If we localize our energy system with clean energy, then we build more resilience and be able to keep the power on when the rest of the grid fails. And we're seeing that more and more. And it's either failure because of crisis or failure because of the investor-owned utilities abruptly shutting off power, whether it's because we can't pay our bills or because they're trying to prevent wildfires, has been the approach here in California. And the reality of the situation is they leave people literally in the dark. And guess what? They still ignite wildfires, very deadly wildfires that are decimating communities, literally killing people in the middle of the night. And then they're allowed to continue business as usual. So, we need to really address these problems. And the only way to really tackle it is to center the voices of the people that are heavily impacted. And specifically, folks of color, environmental justice communities, vulnerable communities like disabled folks, and, just really getting into all the communities that have been disinvested for so long, right? And I think, one of the things that we really need to emphasize also is that we're in a moment right now where it's hard to differentiate between the corporations and the government agencies, right? And I feel like government agencies are acting the same. And we're finding ourselves having to hold them accountable. Somehow they've got it in their head that nuclear energy is clean and will solve the climate crisis. No, it's not. Anything like that is really an investment back into environmental racist practices, right? So we need to actually localize our clean energy system and create actual good jobs for our communities. And it's not just installing the solar and maintaining it, but there's so many other opportunities that address energy, like energy efficiency, for example. There's a lot of talk about the fuel switch from methane gas to electrification. But we need to also address where our energy is coming from to actually power this new electrified, effort. So, we need to create more jobs. We need more local control. We need to build more health and safety in our communities and reduce crime. And in order to do that is we have to create those clean energy jobs for our people. And then again, just to reiterate, centering the voices of the people who have been disinvested for so long, and specifically environmental justice communities. And that's the only way we're going to really, really change up the energy system and do it in solidarity with all the other communities that have been heavily impacted. And specifically, shouting out to the people of Puerto Rico who are really suffering at this moment because of, and it's not just one storm, it's like a regular event now that happens. And the same here in California, you have young kids talking about, oh yeah, it's fire season again, it's wildfire season. And these things are not normal and they're not okay. They're actually really hurting people. Meanwhile, our bills are going up and we're having to pay for this faulty infrastructure, right? So, last thing I want to say, what we're really fighting for is clean power to the people. And I want to also highlight and thank you all today because our people power is the clean power that we have right now. And so I really appreciate you all hearing me out today.
Thanks for being here, Jessica, and thanks for sharing that powerful testimony. If you're feeling it, put some applause in your reaction or something down in the chat. Jessica is doing fabulous work in the Bay Area, and I think her testimony also really underscores that energy democracy is environmental justice, it's energy justice, it's disability justice, it's economic justice. It's really this confluence of all of this justice work that we're all so passionate about. So thank you, Jessica. We're going to go into another activity that will invite you all to share your own testimonies as well. And this is a breakout group, and I'll let Crystal give a little bit more background on it.
I hope you can take this moment to think about what does a top-down control of energy look like in your community, and what might a people-powered solution look like. There's many examples from community solar to pushing for municipalized program. There's pushing for policy that bring resources to the community, with organizing people, educating, I'm just listing out example from the Energy Democracy book. We have 5 minutes total.
While we're waiting, I can chime in with an example from Puerto Rico, which you all have heard the story about from earlier on this call, with the top-down control looking like a corporation from Canada named Luma Energy, managing the distribution and transmission of energy on the island, and essentially determining whether or not lights are on. Currently, there is a big struggle for power on the island, and the people are calling for a decentralized energy system that is decoupled from Luma Energy's control and puts power in the hands of people. So I'm hoping that this story might inspire some reflection on how there might be some similarities with your own struggles and what's going on in your own communities. Great. Well, I hope everyone had some good conversations in the breakout groups. I personally love the chance to be able to meet with other people doing similar work across the country. So now that we had the breakout groups, we're going to have another story share with the same framework of looking at top-down control and people-powered solutions. And we're going to focus on Puerto Rico, one of the most critical energy democracy struggles of our time. We have Ruth Santiago of Comité Diálogo Ambiental here with us today. And Comité Diálogo Ambiental is a community-based group engaged in deliberate and participatory dialogue for environmental protection and sustainable development. Ruth is a lawyer and activist from Guayama, Puerto Rico, who is active in the fight for energy democracy. Maybe we can turn off the screen share and have Ruth's face shown to the whole group to tell us what she's fighting about and supporting in the rebuild in the post-Fiona and Maria period.
Grid into something that's much more, not just decarbonized, but also decentralized, democratized, and decolonized, right? And not dependent on the import of fossil fuels, as Professor Catalina Onis has stated. So we're working with community environmental groups and come together in a couple of different coalitions. One of them, I guess, the better known is the We Want Sun Coalition, Queremos Sol, which includes, by the way, community, environmental, labor, professional, religious, broad swath of civil society in Puerto Rico that are advocating for that transformation. And because we have a historic amount of disaster recovery funds that most people have heard were allocated after Hurricane Maria, but have not been spent, we are especially asking the Biden administration, and particularly FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, to direct those funds that have been already allocated to PREPA and for the electric system to supply, especially starting with low and middle income communities, small businesses, institutions, schools, etc., with rooftop solar, battery energy storage systems, energy efficient lighting, etc., and work in conjunction with organized communities and also our local installers to roll out a program that will prevent this from happening again, these total power outages. We're still in hurricane season as we speak. We are seeing, more intense storms related to the climate crisis, and we really need people, groups, stateside pressure on FEMA, on the Biden administration to do this, because they're headed in the exact opposite direction. They've already started, FEMA's already started dispersing funds to rebuild the business as usual centralized grid that we have here in Puerto Rico. So, thank you.
Thanks, Ruth, for sharing. Well, you heard it here directly from Ruth Santiago, based in Puerto Rico, They are in need of people to step up in solidarity with their activism efforts. And I know that we have a question down in the chat. Why doesn't Biden administration support decentralized energy future, starting with Puerto Rico? And Adam says, because the commanding heights of the Biden administration favors corporate and investor control. Looks grim, but there's an opportunity for us to come together and take that first action to show up in solidarity with Puerto Rico, with Boricuas. You can do this today by signing up. Let's go over to the next slide for the Quick Response Solidarity Program. Now, what does it mean to be part of the Quick Response Solidarity Program? It means that you support energy democracy for Puerto Rico, and your organization will be recognized as a key ally in the fight for a renewable, decentralized energy system for the island. There is a one-time approval process. So you fill out a form, you say, yes, it's good, we are ready to sign on, and you'll be signed on for 2 years. You can always opt out. 3, it's movement building in action. You are going to be placed right alongside Puerto Rican activists in fighting for the energy democracy future for the island. And you're going to play a central role in tying the threads together of our energy democracy fight all the way from Alaska to Puerto Rico. This struggle is more than just about one technology, one utility, or one city. It's about all of us and the growing community of activism that we're all stewarding collectively. Your commitment, given the political complexity around Puerto Rico, again, will be about 2 years. We recognize there might be potential changes in capacity, and we'll reach out 2 years from now to give you a chance to opt out. Please note, you always, again, have the chance to opt out at any time, but we want this to be a really low stress commitment for you. Let's go over to the next slide, and we'll show people how to sign up. Here's the link, bit.ly/refocus in all caps, now in lowercase. When you go to that link, you will navigate to a Google form. There's a lot of text there, so if you want, you can sign up now, or you can pop it onto your tabs and save it there so that you can sign up right after this webinar. Again, this is a super easy way to show up in solidarity with Puerto Rico. All right, I'm seeing a lot of really great conversations in the chat. Again, thank you, Ruth, for joining, for sharing your testimonials, and I'm so excited to continue to have all of us join together in this struggle and in this fight.
So after you show up, we need to share. So now we've done a whole lot about giving you an understanding of what energy democracy means for us. 40 different energy democracy organizations across the country, sharing, building shared resources, shared strategy. We put together this campaign. We really want to hear your thoughts. Now that you've heard from stories on this call from the Bay Area in California to Puerto Rico, and heard from people across the country in your breakout rooms, we're doing a quick temperature check on how things are landing for you. If you want to build power, we have to make sure that we are in this together. So you're going to see a poll popping up in front of your screen right now. We'd love for you to just give us, from the scale of 1 to 5, do you agree that our struggles for energy justice are similar across the country? Or is it just like a very unique case everywhere and we should just focus on those little places? Or is there a way that we can build unity across the country? 5 being 100%, yes, there's definitely lots of similarity. 1 being not at all. So if you can respond to the poll, right now we have 66% of the people responding. Thank you. And we're waiting maybe 30 more seconds for you to choose between 1 to 5. How much do you think the energy justice struggle across the country is very much similar, or maybe they're not? We've done quite some analysis through a lot of values and purpose work to like writing the congressional briefing document, writing the People's Utility Justice Playbook, doing a lot of different collaboration, and decided to launch this campaign because we realized we need to build narrative power across the country. So I'm saying no more jumping in right now. I'm going to end the poll and show you what we see in this room. So you can see here, we're about 80% of us believe that we're at 4 or 5. We're pretty aligned. We see one person believe that not a lot of alignment, to just focus on our local work. So most of us believe that there's a lot of alignment going on. Now, how do we build that power? And so love to see if you have any thoughts, you can drop in chat. How do you think that we can best build solidarity with each other to advance tangible solutions? For those people who are already doing the work, we know very well that it's so hard to even just get a little thing done in our local community. So what's the best way to allow us to show up for each other when you're working on building, say, local community-owned solar project, when somebody else is trying to fight for federal government money, like the FEMA money, to make sure that the rebuilding of the energy infrastructure in their community can be done the right way? How do we show up for each other? So please drop in chat anything you think we could do together to build solidarity. We'd love to hear from you. Just take a moment for folks to write down. See Adam lift up stories of local, state, regional work, and of course, best practices through REFOCUS, kind of like what we did with the People's Utility Justice Playbook.
Yeah, I also want to lift up the Quick Solidarity Response Program. Our Quick Response Solidarity Program is a direct response to the calls from Ruth and other activists on the island who are asking for stateside organizations and individuals to step up and amplifying their efforts. And I think that we can all do collective work to amplify the calls from our friends, our comrades across the country, because we do need this critical mass and we do need to show that we are united in our efforts.
And not just from Puerto Rico, also from across the country. So many energy democracy organizations have said, we need more resources on the ground. How do we build power together? And we realize that we need to tell the same stories. We need to put the truth out. How do we let people know that it is a structure that is in place that's stopping the solution from happening? It is not the fossil fuel power only. It is the fact that there is a small number of people who's trying to stop our communities to have self-determination. So we're seeing Erica mentioning shifting energy conversations to everyday dinner conversations. So invite you all to tonight, share with your family and friends and housemates what you learned from the REFOCUS campaign. Love seeing Eve from Solstice Initiative sharing that we need to amplify success learnings on social media and across other coalitions. We have Neil from Sierra Club saying that examples of local programming organizer can do it in the field to do public education, discussion, and power building. We got lots, June from LCEA sharing what is working. Lorenzo mentioning conversations with our own neighbors, shifting a narrative on a face-to-face basis. So there's a lot. Thank you all for sharing. And I'll pass over to hearing some already amplified stories we need to amplify. Mm-hmm. So here in the, okay, before we go there, we want to have concrete action related to share. So please take a quick moment to go to this website, energydemocracy.us/refocus. This is our splash page for the campaign. to get us all be in connection with each other, so that we can move together, be more coordinated. Sign up and ask your partners, your collaborators, your friends, families, and neighbors through your face-to-face engagement or Zoom to join the REFOCUS newsletter, where you'll learn about ways to stay involved, hear success stories, and share resources. We'll also be receiving creative tools to leverage, like a new zine that we're going to be releasing soon, that you can get it printed and share with your neighbors, share with your communities, to start organizing and really talking about how we can shift power to shift our economy by shifting our energy system. So the action is, again, go to the website, sign up right now. Nora dropped in chat the link, energydemocracy.us/refocus. So that's us sharing. And now many of you have shared that we need to amplify.
Yes, I will take it on. And I also do want to uplift a comment from Jess in the comments. Having the newsletter in Spanish will be really helpful too. I think that's a great note. We are really trying to make sure that everything is going to be translated and interpreted in Spanish if spoken, so that we can really capture both of those languages in all of our materials as part of this campaign. As you see stuff coming out, do feel free to contact us, sign up for the newsletter, reach out with suggestions as to how we can make sure to be even more inclusive as we grow this campaign and this movement. And as we amplify, we have 2 social media channels that are going to be really important for the longevity of this campaign and a huge tool for our movement. We're asking you to pull out your phones, hop onto Twitter @EnergyDemocTour, and Instagram @EnergyDemocracyProject. We're just going to take a few moments. Go ahead and log on to your Instagram, log on to your Twitter, type in the handles, and follow us. We'd love to get a lot more followers today. Hannah Boucher-Gage is on this call today, and they are stewarding some really incredible social media posts and the growth of our social media channels alongside our partners at Climate Nexus. Thank you to all of you who are supporting this. Do you want to also uplift a comment in the chat? We had a question where resources can be found. You can find those resources on the homepage of the Energy Democracy Project at energydemocracy.us. And if you sign up for our newsletter for REFOCUS, you will also be the first to know when some fun, exciting new resources are being made available, like a new zine, digital media and social media materials, as well as materials that you can use in the community meetings and community engagement that you all are doing with your friends, your neighbors, and your colleagues. So while we are on Twitter, we've just got a few more minutes. We'd love for you to stay on the Twitter account and go ahead and send out a tweet. We're going to be using the hashtag Reimagined Energy. Let's go over to the next slide for some samples of tweets that you all can use. One tweet that we crafted was, a corporate centralized utility system does not qualify as a solution to the climate crisis. To achieve hashtag energy justice, we need radically hashtag reimagined energy systems. And the other 2 are following in that same line of passion and excitement for energy democracy. We're typing them in the chat. You can feel free to essentially copy paste them, or you can craft your own. Like we've said again and again in this webinar, REFOCUS is really centered on stories. And as much as possible, we'd love for you all to share your own stories through the REFOCUS campaign. A tweet is just, a pretty small snippet of a story, but we hope that it can be an opportunity for you to tap into the REFOCUS campaign and inspire all of us to do the same. So let's take a few moments to do that. I'm going to be crafting one. I'll probably use a spin on the second tweet. But remember to try and use the hashtag Reimagined Energy so that we can track it on the back end and also retweet your tweet. Crystal, which one are you going to do?
I'm going to write my own and say
Okay.
what an reimagined energy looks like.
Great. Do you want to bump up Jay's suggestion of bumper stickers and yard signs? I love that.
Yes.
It's a really great way to get the word out. And I know that I'm not necessarily sure that it's old school. I think it's like pretty classic school. We pass by the same parked cars every day, the same yards where we live, and oftentimes we're most influenced by the people who are closest to us. So I think that's a fabulous idea. Thanks, Jay. I see Adam tweeted at Energy Democracy Tour from Puerto Rico to Alaska. The top-down model of providing energy is outdated and unsafe. The people demand a safe, resilient, and sustainable hashtag reimagined energy grid. I see Sarah posted a transition to renewable energy through a corporate centralized utility system does not qualify as a solution to the climate crisis. Cleveland Owns highlighted REFOCUS and said, glad to join powerful allies from Alaska to Puerto Rico for the launch of the REFOCUS campaign today. Yes. I see Hannah posting quotes from callouts of today's call. People-powered solutions look like local clean energy in our communities that is owned and managed by the people who have been most impacted by the extractive energy system, quoting Jessica's powerful testimony today. I see Climate Nexus posting about our call as well. Really appreciate the growing online presence of this campaign. And we're just getting started, folks. I think this is something that can continue to grow through 2022 and beyond, because it has to grow. We have this people-powered movement, and I know all of you on this call are doing really powerful work in your own communities as well. So I'll continue looking at the posts that are going on Twitter, but let's go ahead and start to wrap up the call as we've got the last few minutes on the calendar. Crystal, take us away.
Yes, so just a little reminder that everything that we're seeing that seems very depressing is a work that the far right has been working to protect or establish the so-called private property so that we are staying divided so they can conquer us and continue to make profit off of our backs for the last 60 years. This is a plan they have been working on diligently for more than 60 years, and we are experiencing that right now. So we need to be diligent to make sure that we are not just reacting. We're not just planning for the next 3 months or the next press cycle or even next storm. How do we actually build power across the country so then we can actually look at everything decades out, understanding that climate crisis is not giving us more than a decade. So how do we plan diligently and not try to rush through short-sighted reaction? And here to summarize is 3 again: show up. Please sign up for the quick solidarity response program at bit.ly/refocus now. Please work with your organization. Get your organization signed up to be in solidarity with this really critical moment to move the federal money that's already allocated to the right place in Puerto Rico, because all of our struggles are connected. Imagine if this is being built in Puerto Rico, what it means for all of our communities to have something to point to. This is $16 billion on the line that's ready. So please show up. Next, share. Sign up for our newsletter and receive our zine and all of these stories, and let's build together. Go to the website, energydemocracy.us/refocus. Please sign up. Please tell your neighbors. Please tell your colleagues. Please tell your friends. We need to move together. And when we move together, we need to amplify. on social media, in your neighborhood. We're going to make this yard sign. We're going to make these bumper stickers. We're going to make the things that all of us can use next year. So we can use it in our backyard, front yard, dinner table, libraries, everywhere, community spaces. We're going to move together. So thank you all so much for being here. This is only the beginning of our relationship. We'll keep building together. Thank you all so, so much for the amazing work you all already doing that brought you here today. And we're going to build power together, because united together, we will not be divided. We will not be defeated. So we need to stay together. And this concludes our launch, and we'll have more to come. So please join us. Thank you all so, so much. And we will be in touch. Thank you all. Have a good rest of the week.
Thanks, everyone.
Stay strong. We got it, everyone.
People power is clean power. Yes. Thank you.
The real clean power.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Take care,
Thank
y'all.
you all.
You too. Great to have you on.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye, Ruth. Thank you so much.
Great job. Great job.
Thanks,
Thank
Jay. And thanks for all of your input. Really appreciate your thoughts, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to collaborate.